I'm here with Vinnie and John from the Jimmy Cake. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Cool.
Not too bad.
Good. You're not too dazzled by all the patterns around us here? No?
No, I'm feeling kind of at home. Like I've always wanted to live in the 70s and be an adult in the 70s, and this is probably about the closest I'll ever get to it. So this will do nicely.
It's a pretty nifty space indeed. Now
Yep.
the two of you, obviously the Jimmy Cake has been going for nearly 12 years now.
Approaching 12 now, yeah.
How does it feel to look back over that time and everything that you've done in that time?
With a great sense of accomplishment slash regret in terms of proud of what we did and kind of slightly regret not working harder, maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
I suppose everybody has a bit of regret about everything, so maybe you can kind of forget about that.
I'd say
focus on the positive.
it's very natural for it to exist and all that, but still it's there, and it's constructive regret, I hope.
Does it feel like it's been 12 years? Does it feel like the turn of the millennium is when it all began?
For me, no. I find it kind of terrifying that it was that long ago.
Really?
Yeah. It's sort of interesting to me as well, just that the first two records that we did took a little over a year, and then sort of with one EP notwithstanding, the next two records have so far taken the better part of 10.
Yes, you're taking a bit more time to release.
You could call it a more considered approach, but that'd be diplomatic, I think.
Because there's so many of you, is it a lot about compromise when it comes to making albums and getting together and trying to record and write?
Very much so. I mean, you have to compromise with that amount of people, and not everyone wants the same. I mean, even like within the band, people's natural listening preferences, they don't collide all the time. So what you want to try and make is the best sound you can make with the best intentions of the individuals involved, which can be unbelievably frustrating at times and totally magic at times. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure about, like, I mean, you have to compromise, but I don't think compromise is the best word, because you know, I might bring something in that I would have very much in my head that it does a certain thing and needs to go a certain way, and then when you run that through the brains of, you know, 6-7 other people, it's not going to come out the way that I had in mind.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a madly infuriating thing, but equally as often the results are considerably better, you know, that sort of way.
I suppose like when you have like that amount of people, that everybody has their own probably kind of vision of what's going to happen, you know, so you all maybe want your own things to happen with the records, and then when you all come together, like you're saying, like it's kind of filtered through other people's opinions. But would you find in one way you're all kind of the same mind? I mean, if you've all been generally working together for a long period of time, that there is that sense that you kind of know what each other wants and where you all want to go?
You would see kicks against certain things sort of throughout the life of the band, in the sense that the third album, Spectre and Crown, certainly would have been an attempt to do something fairly different after what was a fairly heavy album in Dublin Gone, which came before it. And then again, sort of what we're doing now is pretty much a kick against that again. We sort of wanted to do something a lot heavier, a lot more driving, a lot more rhythmic,
Spacier.
and that kind of made it you either want to take drugs or feel like you already had taken drugs. I think that's certainly part of my motivation for it anyway. So it's
John works in addiction services, so it's very much in his best interest to make a record that
I see what you did
maintains
there.
high level drug use in the city.
I see, so this kind of cosmic zombie psych kind of stuff that you've got going on is all.
But with a
basically just to keep me in a job.
Yeah.
Professional agenda too, yeah.
And can you tell me a bit more about that, though, that change basically, besides trying to get people into illicit substances? You know, have you kind of simplified it in terms of playing it live, that you don't need kind of to bring extra people on stage with you, or you're not juggling things, or? Instead
of 10 people, we have 6 people and an extra 72 instruments or something like that. So in one sense, it's easier to manage because there's less voices to have to go through in terms of democracy. Yeah. But in another sense, one person has like 9 instruments, another person has 3. So, you know, it's kind of like the EU, where Paul and Parks would be Germany and the rest of us would be the Eastern European countries. So the album is going to be, in a word, epic from what I hear about it. Can you tell me a bit about the concept behind it and how you're releasing it? Well, it's going to be 72 minutes long, just 3 songs.
It might be epic.
That kind of sounds a bit epic to me.
The results, we have yet to kind of hear the finished product, but the intention was certainly epic. The results will hopefully reflect the intention. It's going to be 72 minutes long, released on double vinyl. It's going to be called Popular Music, and it's going to feature art by a particularly great English artist called Jack Teagle, continuing in our recent tradition of getting shit hot artists when they're young to give us their work for as little money as possible. We've got two pictures by Jack Teagle to use on the gatefold vinyl, and they're both equally brilliantly, bizarrely funny. And he's generously offered us as much help as we can in terms of our funded campaign, and has basically given us our blessing to use his art in whatever context we might or might not need. And all he wants out of it is maybe a record and a couple of pints or something. So again,
this constitutes a contract, by the way.
That's how it works these days, yeah.
But it just in terms of being an indie band and actually having somebody who we like, or would probably, if we had the money, pay a lot of money to use, saying no, don't worry about it, is like spectacularly amazing for us, and just a real reflection of how well the community can work when it does work. Like Paul put on a Teagle exhibition in Rage Records last year, and Jack was incredibly grateful for it, and his way of saying thank you to Paul, part of that is to give us kind of really good usage of his work on our record. And at a time when we're flat broke, it's about as welcome as it could possibly be. So,
can you tell me a bit more about the funded element then?
Well, for the first time ever, for the first time we're broke. Well, not so much broke in that we've always existed subsistently, and there's always been gigs and money coming in a pretty regular way, but we've gigged so little now, and we haven't released anything in 4 years. It's finally caught up, so we just don't have the money in advance to do it. So fund it is the way to go, and Jack lending us his art to do that means we can add all kinds of incentives to the record as well. So funded, it's just a necessity for us. There's nothing else we can do. We either borrow money or we get it in advance, and getting in advance seems a more sensible way in the current climate, I think.
And that way as well, you like the fans, the people who listen to your music, they feel like they're not only contributing to it, but they're getting something as well, you know what I mean, in terms of either art or music or some sort of extras. So there's kind of a little bit of an incentive for them to
karma.
help out. And
Karma
is probably good.
Karma is the most important element, and the bad karma of not supporting it.
Eek.
Yeah, that's the angle we're going on.
So what's the time frame at the moment? So for the album, popular music, when can we expect kind of?
It's being mixed now. It's been a tumultuous kind of few months between some passings away of important people to members of the band, and money running dry and availability for people. So it's at the mixing stage now, and each season we say 2 seasons from now, but we're going to be optimistic and say autumn this time.
Autumn would be nice.
Autumn would be delightful. So if the album's out by autumn, we'd be thrilled to bits. But if it's still not out by summer 2016, I probably won't be surprised.
I'd say you'll have a mob kind of baying for your blood if that if that happens. Listen, best of luck with the release of the album. It was great to chat to you about it. I can't wait to hear the double gatefold version of it.
Thanks, Community of Independence.